Hello viewers, I am delighted to welcome you to this week's edition of Crossfire, reaching you from the Advent Cable Network Nigeria Television, ACNNTV. I am Olusegun Emmanuel Akinola. Remember, Crossfire is a program that treats controversial topics on diverse issues surrounding the family, church, and society. It's like a friendly match where we just warm up by raising issues. The ball is eventually left in your court to decide. Nigeria is known to have diverse tribes and ethnicities. It is gradually becoming more prevalent to see intertribal marriages. However, does it come with specific challenges, especially language barrier, ethnic foods, dress codes, etc.? Well, that is what we're here to find out on today's episode of Crossfire. Does tribe and ethnicity play an important role in the choice of a spouse? And to discuss this very interesting topic, we have with us in the studio two young persons, Mrs. Suki Oredugba and Mr. Samuel Onwozurumba. You're both welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you.
Let me start with my dear sister. Of course, intertribal marriages is gradually becoming more prevalent and common. For you, do you think knowing the tribe, the culture, and the ethnic group of a spouse is important before someone goes into marriage?
Yes, okay. I think so. It's going into marriage. Marriage, first of all, is a lifetime commitment, and it's not something that goes beyond the relationship two persons have, okay. Particularly in Nigeria, where our family plays like an important role in our spouse selection and spouse acceptance. So if you do not take the tribe or ethnic background of your spouse, it will not go well. Even if you accept it or you decide to go into that marriage saying, I love this person, we've come to know each other, it goes beyond just you and your partner. You have to look at both families, because in Nigeria, we take the traditional marriage very seriously. And the traditional marriage is basically the union of the two families of the two partners coming to marry. So it's basically, so if you do not take those ethnic diversities into play when you are choosing a partner, it now begins to form like a barrier between you and your partner at some point, or even causing like a fracas in your family, between both families. Either your partner family doesn't want to accept you or the other way around. Yes. So the ethnic or tribe of your partner really plays a major role in marriages in Nigeria.
We've heard situations where, two young people will say, oh, they love each other, but then maybe as they are preparing for the marriage, when the other tribe gives the man or the woman some of the expectations, yes, they see maybe a whole list of things. Yes. You must do this, you must do that. That becomes an issue for them. Will that also be something that can make them go different ways?
Yes, we've had instances like that, like very many instances where you see people saying, I can't, in my place, we don't do this much elaborate, we don't spend this much on bride price. Bride price is a major role in yes, traditional marriages in Nigeria. So okay, you say we don't spend this much on bride price, we don't even do like some tribes even now tell you to give the man something, and they was like, in my place it's only the women that receive. Yes. The men are not giving anything, and you begin to see that that back and forth between both families. But if we are from the same place, like exactly, I am from the southeastern part of this country, I am from the south part of this country, and I'm getting married to somebody from that place, we understand that, okay, this is what goes in our place. So there is no need to keep going back and forth for a middle ground, or how do we go about it, basically.
Okay, my dear brother, I'm sure you want to chip in here. Is the choice of a spouse from another ethnic group, another culture, is it a cause of concern, or you feel there's really no big deal there?
I don't think there's a big deal, as long as the people are connected, and they are committed to each other. Okay. All that will just be, just a cliche, for them to say, oh, let's check. if you're Hausa or if you're Igbo or you're Yoruba. No.
Okay.
As long as you both have an understanding, you know, and you guys are committed to each other,
Yes.
I think it doesn't really, you know, matter.
Okay, you know, just like she said, you're talking about some of these expectations. Once you're getting closer and closer, and you get to see some things that are a bit unrealistic. Both families are also involved. The couple might not have an issue, but now that both families are involved, won't that be an issue?
Yes, it's always an issue, you know. At the end of the day, as I said, it's the understanding between the couples, you know, to know what they want. If they say, okay, we'll still go ahead with this traditional rites, or we will not, it's left to them to decide, you know. Because a lot of times the society tends to pressure people to do what they do not want to do and end up not being happy. So because I desire someone, or I want someone who is of a different tribe, because my people say, we should not do anything with them, I'll now be sad and so disappointed in my own marriage with the same tribe. You know, so I don't think that really, you know, it should be an issue. But it should be considered, but it shouldn't be an issue.
So if the issue is so big that maybe the couple want to elope, or say, okay, we're not going to do any of these traditional things, that will also be a backlash against the family.
Yes, it will be, of course, because Nigeria is a very societal, we are so communal. Everything is about the society, what the society says. So if the people are comfortable to take the effect of what will happen, then they can just elope and do what they have to do.
Okay, that will be the topic for another day. Eloping, people that you see, they just leave their family place, they want to do marriages somewhere else. Okay, my dear sister, let me come to you now. Now, marriages are, of course, supposed to be built on love, understanding, you know, talking about that communication. Now, don't you think when you have love and mutual respect for your spouses, that actually language cannot be a point of like a barrier between them? You cannot really communicate, or even when you're trying to communicate, you go into your own language and the person does not understand. Won't that be a limitation?
To an extent, yes, it will be a limitation, particularly if you are someone that is used to communicating in a certain type of way. Then that will be a limitation. The language barrier will be a limitation. Also, I will not take away the fact that relationship and in the process of courting, you people got to understand yourself and you decided to go further. It's even beyond language. There are many things that could be limitations in that type of intertribal marriage. We have things like dressings. We have food. The type of food your partner likes may not be the type of food the other person likes because of the tribe where this person is from. And so there are different things that can be limitations, but at the end of the day, even though these things, we've seen these things cause huge issues in marriages or problems in marriages, there are still ways people still get around it to come out of it, because that's where compromise now starts to come into play in marriage. You start seeing people doing compromise. So if I'm having language barrier, we are all educated. So English is like our general language in Nigeria. So we can still communicate in English language. We mustn't communicate in our native dialect.
If children now come into the picture, which language with the...
that even makes your children, it's even more beautiful for the children as far as I'm concerned. That language, the multiple language, because they now have multiple advantage. They understand, they'll most likely tend to understand the language of the father and also the language of the mother, if both parents are committed to ensuring they understand both languages.
So in other words, will you say love is not just enough? Because some will say, we love each other, so we don't see all of these hindrances.
Even in a marriage that is not intertribal, love is not enough. So they'll talk less of this one that has its own peculiarity.
Of course.
Commitment from both couples, because you are going to have instances where the other partner is not doing what your family wants. Where, like, for example, where my husband is like, I don't know why your people want me to do this, or where his people are asking me, why do they want, and I'm saying, why do your people want me to do this? So it's for the partners to be committed to each other, to that cause, to reach that lifelong relationship that they've promised each other.
Okay. Now, talking about some of these limitations and hindrances, in some parts of Nigeria, you hear of certain stereotypes. If you're from the north, they will say you're like this. You're from the east, you're like this. You're from the west, you're like this. You know, they'll say this ones they love money. This ones they love women. This ones they love drinking. All of these cultural things that we'll find about. Now, don't you think that will actually tear a couple apart when they start discovering some of those stereotypes within the home?
No, I would say no, because it's based on the individual, right? And you need to take it individual as they come to you. You know, you don't want to say, okay, because this person has this certain trait or this is who he is, this is defined, this is who he is. So it's down to the couples to decide that, okay, regardless of all these things that they're saying about my people or your people, you know, what are we going to say? Are we going to, you know, let it divide us or let it draw us closer? Because we're all unique, you know, whether we like it or not. Even if you bring, say, all Yoruba people, you see definitely unique ones, and all Igbo people, some of them will not be thinking the same way that they are saying. So I don't think that should, except the people are not committed to each other, you know, that they will allow that to divide them. Yeah.
I would want to add something here that it's not as easy as it's been said right now.
Okay.
Like, in a marriage, you are not just it's not just you and your wife, particularly in Nigeria.
Exactly.
You are getting married to is a union between two families, and we don't need to take away the fact that two families are. So these stereotypes, in a way, go a long way in affecting the union. You call for a party or something, and you see one uncle or one distant uncle coming to show or portray something that the other family is not used to, and the person is telling their son or their daughter that this woman you are getting, I don't understand, and that is already causing like an issue. Like, even if the spouse, even if the other person is good as a person, and you say, okay, I love you, I've met you, we're in a relationship, it doesn't still mean that there are still reservations that you may have concerning the way the family members of your partner, of your spouse, how they are behaving, why are they doing like this, and their values, their beliefs. Some people believe you need to do this once you give birth. Once you give birth, these are things you need to do to give the child, and you are saying, in my place, this is what we believe we need to do when we give birth. Or, for example, let me use myself as an example. In my place, I'm from Delta State, Agbo, and we believe when we give birth is our mothers, the mother of the wife that comes to take care of the baby. Okay. But my husband is a Yoruba man, and in their place is the husband's mother that comes to take care of the baby. Okay. So it's now beyond just what me and my husband believe. It's now beyond that. Yes. It also has to come to both families coming together to compromise and say, this is what we want to do because we want our children to be happy in their union. Yes. So the families of the family of the husband, the family of the wife need to come together and compromise. I want my son to be happy in his marriage, and I want my daughter to be happy in her marriage. So the only way they can be happy is some of those things we hold tight. We need to let go a little bit. Okay. So that's my.
So I don't know if you want to chip in on that. When you find that kind of situation, how will the couple? How should they react?
How should they? As I say, it always boils down to the couple. If they want to allow it to affect their happiness, then they can. But because at the end of the day, the uncle or the auntie or whoever, it doesn't have any control over what happens in the home. You know, it's just their own lifestyle, and that's their own. It's God to judge them. Do you understand? So coming to say, oh, because this uncle is behaving this or this auntie is not being friendly to me, I'll now say I'm not happy with my wife or my wife is not happy with me. No, I won't agree to that. Their own stereotype is their own business. You understand? They should just be because I understand, some people can actually be kind of embarrassing in a way, when it comes to certain issues. Like she mentioned, coming to a party and maybe the person is being too flirty or is over drinking or being a nuisance, and the other family is like, why are these people like this? But that's just how he is, not that he's not a nice person, not that the uncle or the auntie is not a nice person. But because they say, see, Yoruba people see how he's even chasing women up and down, or this Igbo man, he likes money too much. See, do you understand? So it's just his individual, so it shouldn't really be an issue for the couples, in my opinion. Yeah.
Now, she even went beyond just language barrier. If it comes to an issue of food or dressing and some of those things, how will a couple make compromise in that kind of situation? Don't you think it will create issue? You as a man, you say, okay, this is the kind of food you want, but your wife is not used to it. Or how would a woman compromise in that kind of situation?
It's very tough because this word compromise, I don't like using the word compromise. I prefer saying adjusting. You adjust to the person's the likes and dislikes, because if you say compromise, like you are trying to give up. No, you are trying to just adjust. Okay, this is what my partner likes eating. This is what I like. Like my wife, she enjoys eating to shinkafa. But me, I don't really enjoy it, but I eat it, because she enjoys eating it, and that shouldn't be. Initially, it was like, okay, let me make something different for you. Let me eat. I say, no, it's the same thing. You are different tribes, but we can still adjust and enjoy it.
We can say maybe that is unique to you. In this society where we live in, there are some who have so many peculiarities. Yeah. Some men who will say, no, it's either their own or not their own. If a sister or their mother or someone else comes to live with them, it now becomes an issue that person is actually cooking for the man. And of course, it creates friction for them.
It's tough.
Now we asked the question earlier even about children. Let me also ask you that question. When it comes to dealing with communication, what would the children learn? Of course, you said diversity is good. Wouldn't that also be an issue? If the woman seemed to be more with the children, she will most likely be the one teaching language, and you as a man who is not there, you might one day, as their children are growing up, you notice that they are speaking more of this other language. Wouldn't that be an issue?
Yes, it will be an issue. So what you can do is to go to the location of your language, so that by force the children will learn that language.
Will learn the language.
Yes, because the thing, we tend to speak what we hear from our environment, especially with children. So if they are in like a Hausa community or an Igbo community, they tend to speak the language that they have in that area. Yes, they will speak the mother's language because the mother is always, with the children. But it's always good to have different languages.
So you transport your children to
I would like to say something. Sorry, you are now saying you transport your children to your location so they will learn your language. And you know that your location, they behave in your tradition and your belief, and that tradition and belief is strange to your wife. So I don't know. Those are the issues we are trying to highlight. And that tradition or belief is in that location is strange to your wife. So because she will not let her children go there without her being there. So that is another issue that
is our children. So
she will not let
our children.
Yes.
So if you
me as a person, I won't let my child or our child go to a location with. Go to a strange, I will call it a strange land.
Okay.
Because even though it's my husband's place, fine, we might go there to visit, but you are saying let's move because we want to learn. That means we will stay there for a very long time. So that is, I don't know, it's just a lot of commitment because it's actually very challenging to say there's a fast or a one-way route to getting it or understanding how to do it. It's just commitment and basically you people believing and having some some common set of beliefs. Like how do you, and it's a tribal also comes in and somehow enters into religion. Because most times now what really matters is this person a Christian the way I am a Christian? So that's one thing that gives people the courage to actually go into intertribal marriages. Like, okay, I believe in Jesus Christ and I trust in his word and I trust in his ways and I'm trying to live my life. And I've seen a woman that believes in Jesus Christ, trusts in his words and is trying to live her life according to his ways and precepts. So it's now beyond the tribe or ethnicity. Of course. It's now like, let us do this for the greater goal, which is to bring up children that will fear God and...
Okay. Yes, thank you very much for that wonderful point. At this juncture, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
And so when we urge to drink alcohol or smoke marijuana or cigarettes came on me, I will tell myself I can stop all these things through Christ who strengthens me.
At 10 o'clock in the night, I'm lying down on the bed, unable to fall asleep. Because the question kept coming back to me, what if you died? Where would you spend eternity?
Journey of life. God seemed to have lined up people for me.
Welcome back, viewers. So far, we've been treating the topic of intertribal marriages right here on this edition of Crossfire. And there are young people here who have been with us discussing this topic. Mr. Samuel Omozurumba, who has been supporting intertribal marriages, while Mrs. Suki Oredugba has been talking about some of the challenges that we'll find in intertribal marriages. Let me continue with you, Mrs. Suki. Now, going through the Old Testament, you notice that when God made his covenant with the Israelites, he always warned them not to intermarry, you know, with other tribes, with other cultures, people who were Gentiles, you know. So wouldn't that be applicable to us today as, well, I say as Christians or new age believers marrying from other tribes and so on and so forth?
Now, Jesus Christ came for the whole world. He brought the gospel for not just the Israelites. He said, he gave the disciples the option to take his word to the ends of the earth.
That's true.
And as Christians, we have accepted that word. And so we are the new generation of the Israelites. Okay. Firstly, I'll begin by saying that. And also looking at the Old Testament, when God was even pronouncing that to the Israelites, he was mostly not referring to the tribes, but to their beliefs. Okay. They didn't serve him. They did not believe in Yahweh. They did not believe in God. Yeah. So they were idol worshippers, basically. And so he didn't want them to come and pollute their belief, or he didn't want them to come and not worship him. That was the major reason why God was telling them not to get married to women or men from those other tribes. It wasn't because of their tribes, because going into the Bible, we'll see instances like a major example I always refer to is Ruth and Boaz. They were not from the same place, and God wasn't against. Even Moses, at some point, when even Miriam went to God and was telling God that, see, he went to marry somebody that is not an Israelite, and that was what brought that leprosy upon her. So it's not, does the person believe in God? Okay. As Christians, that's our first main. Because will this person help me to grow in faith, in my faith in God? Will we go in this journey of eternity together? Yeah. So it's not about the tribe, basically, when we are talking as Christians. It's more about our faith as Christians. Okay.
But you notice that for some tribes or certain cultures, depending on where you come from, you notice that they will tell you of certain gods, you know, in their village. You say, this is our place, this is our land, these are the traditional things, and you notice, oh, some idols or some things like that are connected to that. Wouldn't that also be an issue? It
will be an issue if my spouse believes in all those things they are saying. Okay. Because a true Christian will not still be holding on to those gods that they are mentioning in his place. Okay. Because we too, in my place, I'm sure they have some idols they worship, but I have no idea because I'm not even interested in them as a Christian. So I do not expect my spouse to be interested in idols of his village or of his tribe or where he's coming from. Okay. So if he's not, so that's, if he is and he insists on it, then it becomes to be, then it's an issue.
Okay. Mr. Samuel, maybe you want to key in on that. This intertribal marriages, if it goes into the religious aspect of gods and idols and things like, what do you have to say about that?
It's a very tough one, because you at the end of the day, you know, in this life we just want to make heaven, you know, and you don't want a situation where because of your decision you now, you know, derail from that, and or the decision of your partner, that my partner says, okay, I believe in this kind of things, and you still blindly follow the person, you know, when you're already informed as a Christian that we should stay away from such things. So it's really not
if it enters festive, some kind of festive festivities that you feel as a man, you know, this is my tradition, this is my culture, you don't see anything wrong with it, and the woman disagrees with that. I know she has some concerns about that. How do you handle that if you're in intertribal marriage?
If it's not life-threatening, you know, you can find a way to, you know, make her understand why you are doing it, the reasons you're doing it. But if it's something that is, of course, life-threatening and is going to make her not make heaven or you not make heaven, I don't think it's something you should overthink, and you definitely not do it, and just let peace and happiness rule your home. Because if you do it, you definitely will not be happy in your home. Certainly, you know, and it's crazy, you know, to allow that.
Okay. Now, you know that, of course, man was created differently from woman.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, psychologically, everywhere. Now, don't you think that adding ethnic or tribal differences will further deepen the differences? You know, if you're from the same place, you can easily adapt and change, or like you said, adjust. You know, but now that you have two different languages, how would the couple adjust or adapt in that kind of situation?
It's very, very tough, to be very honest, you know, and you have to first fear God, you know, both of you have to fear God, you know, and take actions and decisions that, you know, that if God comes to judge you, you know that you have no blemish, you are of course, you're free of sin and all that, because it should actually, these differences should create more education, more perspective, enlightenment, I would say, because a lot of people are kind of stuck up in their old ways. You know, this is how Igbo people do things. This is how Yoruba people. No, there are different ways. How about the Indians? How about people in the North or South Pole? You know, you want to know how they are living and how they are, you know, going on with life. So you shouldn't create any more issue, you know.
Issues. Okay. My sister, maybe you want to chip in on that.
Okay, basically, I want to add that these intertribal marriages and differences between the man and woman, yes, the challenges may be endless, like we've been mentioning, but one thing we should also understand is, as in the times of our parents, most of our parents lived around the community where they come from.
Yes.
Most of them it's towards maybe after independence, many of our parents started settling in different lands, different from where they come from, like their villages. So this is what has led to the increase in intertribal marriages, because we have different people coming from different places to settle in a strange land. So basically, the people that we are growing up with or we are seeing around us are people of diverse tribes. So right now, with education and enlightenment, we've come to realize that we've been able to live together. So even though our parents were not married, they have people from other tribes, a Yoruba man, an Igbo man, an Hausa man, they are working in the same office and they are working peacefully. You have that, if they can sustain a peaceful working relationship, peaceful or a cordial friendship, so why can't we now still see how it can work in terms of marriage? And so that's what is now leading to the high rate of intertribal marriages, and people and our parents that did not even used to agree are now saying, okay, I think we can let it go. My best friend is even not from my tribe, so why can't I allow my child go ahead and get married to somebody from another tribe?
You know, they say, we'll find it in the Bible, it says, iron sharpens iron. Now, in marriage also, it's almost the same thing. You say, iron sharpening iron, you learn from each other, you grow, you adapt, you change another. Now, don't you think that we can help break some of these ethnic or intertribal wars or problems, you know, in Nigeria when we allow intertribal marriages?
Yes. And no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Okay. Yes, in terms of you can now, because firstly, why I'm saying no, let me just start with no, it's not really bad, it's that firstly, as a Christian, as a child of God, the tribe of the other person should not define how you relate with the other person. So it shouldn't get up to the point of let us get married before we are breaking those intertribal wars or intertribal differences. That's why I'm saying no. Like, it should be beyond. As a child of God, I am seeing everybody on this earth as my brother and sister. We are all, even those that have not even been called to Christ, we still keep praying every day for them to be called to Christ and come and join us to become a part of the body of Christ. So if I am now, marriage is just a step forward, going to show that yes, I believe that this person is my brother in Christ, is my sister in Christ. I am looking beyond the person's tribe and ethnicity. So I don't think when we as Nigerians start seeing everybody as a Nigerian, as a brother or sister in Christ, for us Christians, as a creature of God, as a creation of God, that God created somebody, that this person was created by the God I believe in, then you relate with this person not less or higher than any other person. You treat everybody as equal as possible, not based on tribe or ethnicity.
Okay. My brother Samuel, maybe you have a final word for youths out there, because you see so many who have concerns, who have, they see or hear some of these stereotypes, or like you say, some cliches that people hear. What would be your final word to advise young people who are going into intertribal marriages?
Fear God and have a relationship with God first. You know that He will direct you on what next to do. Because if it's based on your own personal ability, I don't think intertribal marriages will be happening, to be very honest. Because a lot of people, as I said, are stuck up on their old ways. You know, a lot of families feel this is the way things must be. You know, and it's not. There's always another angle to it. So, you know, fear God, have a relationship with God, pray always, and you know, share love and light as much as you can.
Okay, thank you very much. Nisuki.
Okay, I would say firstly, like you said, we need to be prayerful. You need to make it, choosing a life partner is a spiritual decision. It's not a physical decision. So that's what I'll tell young people out there. It's something that is beyond, this person is handsome, is tall. It's something that is beyond the money or career. It is a spiritual decision. So you need the Holy Spirit to direct you and direct your partner. Both of you need to pray, because even if you are going through challenges through the process, particularly if it's intertribal and families, the only thing that can help you at that point or bring forth solutions is prayer. It's prayer and the spiritual connection that you share with your spouse. So at that point in time, all we need as young people when picking partners is, let's look beyond physical options, but seek the face of God when picking a partner.
Okay. That's very wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Thank you so much.
Enlightened us and opened our eyes to some of these diversities and uniqueness.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately our time is up, and we do hope you have been enriched by this interesting discussion. Marriage, as we know it, is a very sensitive topic, and every marriage is unique. We live in a secular society where we easily mix with people from other tribes, from other ethnic groups. And we are bound to have friends and eventually marry from other cultures. So for the sake of our national unity, we can begin to learn that our differences should not divide us. We can appreciate our diversity, and as we build our homes with the help of God. Till next time, stay blessed and stay connected to God, and show love to one another. Thank you and goodbye.